But first, to our top story, brand new concerns over White House efforts to fix the Obamacare exchanges. As we learn, the company brought in to clean up this mess has had a bit of a troubled past. Hope you're after a great week, everybody. I'm Jenna Lee.
And I'm John Scott. A crippling series of bugs, glitches, and crashes greeted millions of Americans when the Obamacare website debuted in October. The company behind that initial rollout is gone. To fix the problem, the Obama administration has turned to Accenture. But a review shows the company has a mixed record working with Washington, including troubled and delayed projects and allegations of ethical misconduct. Along with that, a new Wall Street Journal report says millions of Americans are falling through a coverage gap in the law. They're too poor to qualify for government subsidies while living in a state that doesn't offer expanded Medicaid coverage. Joining me now to talk about that, Mark Tapscott, executive editor for the Washington Examiner. To this Accenture story, first of all, Mark, $90 million they are being paid to fix the Obamacare website. Is this another case of government throwing money at the problem?
Oh, it certainly seems to be that. Accenture, by the way, has done very well under the Obama administration, not just with this contract. They've averaged about $900 million a year in contracts from the administration under Obama. Under the Bush, the last 5 years of the Bush administration, it was only about $780 million. So that's about a 16% increase. They've done well with Obama.
Yeah, it's a company that people know well. They operate throughout the United States, but they are based in Ireland. That caught my eye.
Well, actually, the reason they're based in Ireland is because the company has its roots in Arthur Andersen, and you may recall Arthur Andersen had problems back during the Enron years, and somehow or another, what survived from all of that ended up being acquired by an Irish concern. Yeah.
The U.S. Postal Service had some problems with Accenture's work, according to the Washington Post. Back in June, the Inspector General for the Postal Service wrote that Accenture had demonstrated an absence of business ethics. But these are the folks who've been brought in to fix the Obamacare website.
The Inspector General at the U.S. Postal Service is one of the best IGs in the government. I've had some dealings with him. He's very, very competent. It doesn't surprise me that you hear these kind of comments about a federal contractor with the kind of background that Accenture has. About 40%, most people don't know this, but about 40% of all federal contracts are issued on a non-competitive basis of one kind or another. Including this latest one for fixing healthcare.gov. When you have non-competitive bidding for contracts, basically what you're doing is just handing people money, and it's very difficult to keep track of whether or not they actually did what you paid them to do.
I know you've taken a look at this coverage gap issue as well. There are millions of Americans who are too poor to qualify for the subsidies that are offered under Obamacare. But they apparently don't reside in states where Medicaid has been expanded. What are these people going to be left to do?
Well, they are in a very difficult situation because the way Obamacare was set up when Congress passed it, the state governments were given an option, not a particularly attractive option, but an option to basically expand Medicaid. And the federal government would pick up the tab for the first 3 years, and then the states would pick up 10% each year thereafter. That's not a good deal for state governments because Medicaid is almost certain to be an expanding expenditure for them, and nobody knows how much. So a number of the states have said, no, we're not going to take that, and as a consequence of that, you've got these people who can't qualify for the federal subsidies that are offered under Obamacare, but they can't get Medicaid either. So it's a problem, and it's just exactly what you expect when government tries to step in and take over from the private sector. Yeah, a sixth of the economy.
And you say the real problem in terms of a coverage gap is the number of people who have just outright lost their policies, their private health care policies, and have not been covered as a result of the new Obamacare policies.
Absolutely. You know, you look at the box score, if you will, at this point for Obamacare. About 6 million people have lost their coverage because of Obamacare. And I think if you accept the probably overly optimistic numbers from the administration that 3 million have become covered, That's a deficit of $3 million right there, and it's going to get worse as 2014 rolls out because of the coming problems with small business coverage. So there is a real coverage gap here, and it's not just with the states and Medicaid.
And it affects millions of people. Mark Tapscott is the executive editor at the Washington Examiner. Mark, thank you.
My pleasure.